Hello everyone, and thank you for coming here to help me celebrate 10 years on YouTube. August 30th, 2014, I created a YouTube channel, gave it the outlandish made-up name Jerome Weiselberry, and posted 2 book hauls for a friend's amusement, and I've been posting weekly videos ever since. According to YouTube statistics, I've made over 600 videos, gained 16,000 subscribers, none of whom I take for granted, and gotten over 2 million cumulative views for nearly 200,000 hours of watch time. I've had about a dozen haircuts, although my hairstyle has never changed, and I've probably had as many colds. My reviews have been interrupted by explosive sneezes, the smoke detector, hammering, noisy traffic, landscapers, a nosebleed, and I've done some things I never would have guessed I'd end up posting on the internet for strangers all over the world to see. I haven't made any drastic changes here, but along the way the channel has evolved. At first I talked primarily about books, but I soon switched to focusing more on movies, especially old movies, adaptations of classic literature, and creature features. I know some people will say that those things don't mix, that there's very little overlap, and so it doesn't make sense to talk about them all on one channel, but one of my priorities has always been to constantly rotate my topics. I have many interests, diverse interests, I guess you could say, as do a lot of my viewers, and I don't want to just do the same thing, same genre, every week. If I did, I don't think I would have lasted 10 months, let alone 10 years. Some of you joke that I haven't aged at all, which is a huge compliment, but I have. It's just not super obvious from where you're sitting. My face has filled out. I'm about 20 pounds heavier than I was when I started in 2014. A lot of that is out of frame. I'm sitting on some of it. I'm starting to get a few little wrinkles on my face from smiling, which I don't think is a bad thing. I feel like if you're gonna get wrinkles, they might as well be from smiling too much. And I've got a lot more silver highlights in my hair, which is fascinating. I did not anticipate these videos being a way to track the progress of my hair graying, but it has been a really interesting fringe benefit. If you watch my old videos side by side with more recent ones, it's easier to spot the differences. And you're gonna get an opportunity to do that today, because to celebrate my 10th anniversary, we're going to look back. Over the last few weeks, I have forced myself to peruse my old stuff, collecting clips and highlights, and now we're gonna take a trip down memory lane together. First, I wanted to show a montage of milestones and benchmarks for the channel, going all the way back to my first 2 videos, which I filmed in the summer of 2014, not expecting anyone but my friend to see them. Some of the footage you are about to witness is, in my opinion at least, very embarrassing. We're leaving for our trip tomorrow, and since I can't decide what to bring to read in the car, I'm just gonna bring everything. Yay! Nothing like dinosaurs in the car. This has a map! I'm kind of disappointed that I have to read hardcover. It's just because it's heavy, and this is a rocking chair, by the way. I don't sit in it anymore because, well, it kind of squeezes my hips, and it might be cutting off the circulation in my feet. I'm not sure. But anyway, the timer went off, which means my food is ready, which means I can eat. So, bye! Library haul! Okay. It's a map of a school. North Campus tunnels. Drawn on a napkin. So cool! I love it, and I don't even know if it's any good. That is the library haul for the week of August 18th. He's giving this guy a demonstration, which he asked for. The blood comes spurting out, and your intestines are probably gonna come out, and you gotta just push them back in and see if I let it go, then they come out. He's just like, what? And the guy is just like clunked out. That would be me. I watched Watership Down. Obviously this is an adaptation of the book that I read a few months ago. I made a review of it. Here's the box. The story overall was pretty good. If you weren't familiar with the story of Richard Adams' original novel, you would have been able to follow along pretty well. The running time is only 92 minutes, so obviously they had to make a few cuts here and there and rearrange things, and I'm a purist when it comes to literary adaptations, and so yeah, it bothered me a little bit. Joseph Cotten has been one of my favorite actors for a long time. I first saw him as suave but sinister Uncle Charlie in Shadow of a Doubt when I was 9 or 10. I've seen a lot of Hitchcock movies, but I still consider this my favorite of his black and white films. As Jane Eyre should, it starts with Orphan Jane's miserable existence at Gateshead.
Leave me alone! Baby cat, baby cat, they have thunder night.
What did she say? The music for this film, the opening credits music, totally gave me the heebie-jeebies, and I wasn't sure if I liked it or not by the end, because you get to hear something like that over and over and over again. You're either going to be like, I hate it, make it stop! Or you're going to be like, actually, that's kind of nice, I'm getting used to it.
What can I do? I feel this love. Would I be judged by God above if I were to stay here by his side?
So when I watch it now, it's connected to the memories of our family at Christmas and her and I watching it together and laughing and then going back and forth and quoting it, and just the really wonderful... I don't know why it's making me emotional all of a sudden. These were actually people who were fleshing out what they liked about the original trilogy, and they were talking about characters and stories and plot devices and all these things that, as I grew older, I realized that I really liked to talk about.
Does the white noise in the background sound really bad? Is it intolerable? Because if it is, then I will never use this camera. This is like my dinky little handheld camera. It's an Icon Coolpix. It's a nice camera for taking pictures, I guess, but it's not fancy. I don't have anything fancy. So, you know, let me know if it's atrocious, and I won't use this camera for anything ever again. So I do need feedback on this. Yeah, I don't know what the point of all this was, but now I've done one of these things. I always wondered if I could pull off a vlog thing, and I wouldn't say that this has been exactly a success, but it's something. At least I tried, right?
I threw it out to you guys a few weeks ago that I was thinking of watching and reviewing some Japanese Godzilla kaiju movies. You seem to like the idea, so we're going ahead with it. And of course, we're going to start at the very beginning. Hey everyone, I'm filming this video in a car. This was gonna happen eventually, so we're just gonna roll with it. Oh, that's a car pun. Start over! Heyo, editing Weiselberry here. I've been thinking about this and going through the movie again, and I'm actually not sure that his behavior isn't at least partially justified. I tried to find the first appearance of "Thanks for watching, bye!" But without going through every video, I couldn't pinpoint when it began. I know that I started doing it pretty consistently in 2016 or 2017, but I don't know when or why it started getting so squeaky. As you saw, I did sign off with a high soft buy, sounds confusing, at the end of the very first video, probably because that's just something I do. My mom and I started that back when we'd be talking on the phone and we couldn't figure out how to end the conversation, so we'd say bye, 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 back and forth until eventually one of us hung up. When I began making regular videos, not just for my friend, but for anybody who would watch them, for months I struggled to figure out how to open them and how to close them. It was a long time before I began doing Hello everyone! As for the bye! If you've watched my blooper reels, you know I have struggled with that sometimes, especially after filming for 2 hours straight. And even trying to do it now, it doesn't always come out right. I think, I don't know, maybe my voice has changed a little bit. It would be nice if I could dial it back to 2017 levels, but at this point, people expect it to be squeaky, right? So it's a little hard to put that genie back in the bottle. I also made a compilation of times when I've worn a special outfit for a review. I don't do it very often, and I never go too crazy because I just don't have a lot of resources for this, but once in a blue moon, I have a prop or something that goes well with whatever I'm reviewing, and I do it for a lark. My favorite thing, actually, is to make zero reference to it, provide no explanation, and see if anyone notices. And then I'll do that after. What's this? Thank you for watching. I'm gonna go eat some candy and some pumpkin bread and some cheese and apple cider and all kinds of wonderful things. I've got a plane. You should have seen me trying to get these things in here. I was like... I don't care if the Brachiosaurus is smiling, it's creepy. Talked about Superintendent Battle, talked about Perry Mason, 2 left. And the one I want to talk about here is... Sorry. Here, in the order that I saw them, are the 5 westerns that somehow squeaked past my radar and convinced me that, okay, fine, westerns can actually be pretty good. I'm going to give you his brain, and he's going to get your brain, and he's going to get your body. Sometimes when there's a particularly good joke, I like to stare at Chaney or Lugosi or Strange to see if they crack or not. They don't. They are 100% straight-faced, in character the whole time. Oh, my eyes. I can't see. I can't see. You keep Christmas in your way and let me keep it in mine. But you don't keep it. Then let me leave it alone. There's more of gravy than of grave about you. Mankind was my business. It's his bed curtains! Why, it's Christmas Day, sir. Costumes, for one thing, which were designed by Gabrielle Mayer, are striking with the high, restrictive collars. They actually remind me of a stereotypical vampire Halloween costume. Hello everyone! Today's video is a review of 1955's To Catch a Thief. I've seen enough invasion movies to know that if an alien race shows up and causes a lot of chaos, death, and destruction, and then declares, "Hey, we just want peace. We only did that to let you know how strong we are and how technologically advanced we are, and to make you understand that there's no use resisting us," they're probably full of baloney. I did find out that I've been remembering this scene wrong for years. I was positive that the coffin opens on its own, and you see a skeleton lying there, and then all of a sudden, it lunges at the camera. I so clearly remember this. There are some things I look back on and think, ugh, I can't believe I did that. The pirate video is one of them. I intensely dislike that video. It's all of it is just cringy and a couple of the comments I've gotten on it are but there are other things where I think, wow, I can't believe I did that. I think you all know by now that I like to have fun while reviewing movies, and I'm grateful for those of you who appreciate the occasional bursts of absurdity. Here are just a few random silly moments from otherwise straightforward reviews. He touched my shoulder! Oh! Mom said he didn't do it for me, and I don't know, he did it for me, whatever that means. I don't mean like, they just look so cute. It's like this. Here's Jane, and here's Rochester, and so, you know, she's all like, do, and he's storming around, and when they hug, it's like this little person is getting squashed in there. Justin is a soldier and a leader very intelligent, but also very kind, generous, funny, charming. Justin is also a rat. Why should you watch this movie? Well, aside from the undeniable hotness of Richard Armitage as John Thornton... What? Don't tell me you've never spied on your neighbors. Ooh, let me tell you everything I know about whales, including what kinds of whales there are and what they look like, and all the different ways that whales have been depicted in art, both realistically and as complete monsters, which they seriously are, especially the white ones, because even though people think that white is a pure good color, it's actually not. It's totally evil, and let me give you an exhaustive list of all the things that are white that seem harmless, but actually are not. They're completely evil. You have to believe me. And, oh, let me tell you about all these guys in history and mythology that you've probably heard of before, but even if you don't, I'm going to talk about them anyway. And you know what? All these guys were actually whalemen, and I know that that sounds really sketchy, but really, you just got to trust me on this. Let me tell you about, like, the whale itself, like, biologically. Let's really get in the body. Like, let me tell you everything I know about blubber and the spiracles and, like, all the different ways that they use their tail. And, let's talk about, like, the skeleton. Like, I tattooed all these numbers on my arms of the skeleton from the whale I found. I tattooed them so that I would remember, so that I could tell you. Look, let me tell you all the different ways that I know to cut up a whale, and, like, how after you're done, you're supposed to hang on the head. Ishmael! Can we get back to the story? Okay. Thanks.
Hey, I snuck into your house last night. I went through your bookshelves. You like A Tale of Two Cities, huh? Let me recite it for you!
Oh, Hitchcock, how you do love to create fear and paranoia. Even a person who's never been afraid of getting in the shower has to think twice about it after seeing Psycho. Also, my mom and I appreciated that no matter how urgent the situation, he always takes the time to open doors for the ladies. What a gentleman. And if you want to see some other stuff I collected, stuff I made, word collages, textbook covers that I slapped pictures on, which was very unusual for me, souvenirs, including this cool t-shirt. It glows in the dark, see? This bear that I phantomized. Of course I have my own half mask. It's actually really not comfortable. Ta-da! Is that cool or what? Okay, that was painful. Heathcliff, it's me, I'm Kathy, I've come home, I'm so cold, let me in your window. The Five Blobs were actually just one guy, Bernie Nee, dubbing over himself in a studio. The song is heavy on the sax, light on the lyrics, fun to dance to, and easy to get stuck in your head. Bum ba ba bum 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 ba bum ba bum ba bum ba 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 bum. Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry baby, Sherry baby, Sherry, can you come out tonight? Nope. Had to carve up a rotisserie chicken. Hang on a second. Hey, Mom. What's the name of the horse in Marnie?
Florio.
I knew you would know.
Is this a test?
Yeah. The worst of messes become successes. He's right there, yet she doesn't pay him any attention. I was like, hello? Maybe it's because he has too much sense and professionalism to pay much attention to her. This was Johnson's first significant acting role, by the way, but he still gets to do some great riding stunts. What was she thinking? Yeah, she would be hyperventilating, she'd be doubled over, gasping, drenched in sweat, possibly drooling. I don't know. I have this crazy idea, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. I want to test this and see how long does it take me to get these lines out. This might be the stupidest thing I have done all day, and I might end up just cutting it out, but here goes nothing. I'll be back in a few minutes. Oh my goodness, ow, my throat. I'm seeing stars. That was a terrible idea. Why did I do that? Plus it's just an awesome name. Blaster Beam. I want a blaster beam for Christmas. What instrument do you play, Blaster Beam? There's plenty more where that came from, and I didn't even tap into the blooper reels. I know that the Moby Dick bit goes on for too long, but at the time, filming that and then editing it was a huge deal for me. And I'm still amazed it turned out exactly the way I had envisioned it. It was almost like a director seeing the final film perfectly match the storyboards. I hardly ever do fancy editing like that, but there is one other time where I did a thing and afterward I was like, that came out so well! Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about film noir, so if you don't mind, I think I'll change the setting a bit. That's better. The film noir, which came into being at the tail end of World War II, was a cinematic descent into a morally gray area dominated by tough guys, crooks, dangerous women, and world-weary anti-heroes. It's not all silliness here, though. Sometimes a review takes a more serious turn, leading to a deeper discussion, which may get personal, or may prompt a practical application. I never go looking for this kind of thing, and I always hesitate about going there. I wonder if it'll be a stretch, if I'll come across as too earnest, too sincere, if it'll be boring or preachy, or if it's one of the times where I get emotional, cringy. But I do go there because despite my self-consciousness, and the fact that when I'm talking earnestly about something serious, my vocal cords get strained. I don't know what that's all about, which I think can make me sound a little more artificial. Maybe it's because I'm nervous talking about these things, I don't know. But I think those are often the moments that make the whole video worthwhile. Those are the parts that drive home what gave the film extra significance for me, what made it matter so much that I was inspired to say all this and devote 15 to 20 hours of my life to making a video on it. Does every review have to be deep? No. Sometimes shorter and simpler is better and more effective. But when a movie leads to a more meaningful train of thought, I feel that I've got to pursue that and share it. And I'm thankful that so many of you have been receptive and encouraging when I go down these roads. Sometimes it is a stretch. When I reviewed I Married a Monster from Outer Space, which is a creature feature, I know some people were like, what? This is just an old, low-budget alien movie. You're taking it too seriously. I didn't come here for this. And in a way, I agree, but I felt a pressing need to say what I did, and I think it's important when you have a conviction like that to act on it. So I did. For better or for worse. Like most people on YouTube, I don't care to watch my own videos. Once a review's been posted, I'd rather not see it again. However, there is one video I have willingly revisited multiple times, and that is this one, my 5 favorite Ronald Colman movies, and then some. As February 9th is Ronald Colman's birthday, and his 125th birthday no less, this seems like the perfect opportunity to celebrate his work. I love that video. There is a lot of Ronald Colman and very little of me. Using clips was still new for me at that point, and I have always used them sparingly, but in that video, I went all out. It's basically a fan edit with my narration instead of music. Ronald Colman is one of my top favorite actors, and I love the clips I used, so when I need a Ronald Colman fix, I pull it up. That's the only one where I would say emphatically, yes, I like rewatching that video. But there are plenty of others I've done that I remember fondly, either because I was really happy with the finished product, or because I especially enjoyed the work. There are 3 videos that aren't movie reviews that fit in this category. Looking at the publication dates for these outliers suggests that once a year I do something completely nuts. All 3 of these were labor-intensive, but very satisfying projects. Number 1 is my analysis of the effectiveness of sound in Val Lewton's 1940s horror films. This was my first, and so far only, video essay. I had a eureka moment while trying to figure out what on earth to do for a Halloween special that year, and I decided to study this topic and see where it led, and it was rewarding. The video doesn't get many views, but I did change the title recently. I've never been happy with the title I originally gave it, and I gave it a new one. I put Val Lewton's name first instead of last, and I've gotten a couple comments on it since then, so maybe that will help. Number 2 is the video about Richard Denning's sleeves. It started with this: the bewildering evidence threatens to sink the investigation, but thank goodness Richard Denning is here to roll up his sleeves and put the pieces together. Actually, he only rolls his sleeves up once in this movie. It's very brief and not past the elbow, so I was rather disappointed. I see Richard Denning and I just naturally assume that at some point those sleeves are gonna get rolled up and he's gonna, nice, at least forearm exposure, possibly some bicep. It just happens in so many of his movies that I expect it. And then it happened here and I was like, oh yeah, here we go. and then he had to go back to work and he rolled them back down and I was like, hey! What is this? You can't do that. I can't use this. That raised some eyebrows in the comments, and then I couldn't resist doing a follow-up to prove my point, or at least to prove that I wasn't making the whole thing up. And then what was supposed to be a quick, jokey thing became more extensive because I couldn't help being thorough, and then because I'd drawn so much attention to it, it became a running gag for a while. I remember talking about a crush I had on an actor, and someone commented, oh, he must have rolled up his sleeves. He hadn't, but I'm glad I could help educate the men in my audience about something that many women besides myself find attractive. I think it's an appealing, masculine look that, to me, signals serious work is about to get done, whether it's in the jungle, the desert, the garage, the office, or just around the house. And number 3 is the Snowbound Reading Project, which is my longest video. It is in fact an epic journey. I challenged myself to read every book I could get out of the library with Snowbound in the title. And to make it even more exciting, I decided to open it up to whatever free books Amazon Prime and the Internet Archive had to offer, which expanded the project to include 39 books. There's an aspect of how it began versus how it's going versus how it ended there. Though I made myself consume quite an uncharacteristic amount of rubbish, and I made it more stressful than it needed to be, and there were times when I loathed the whole project. In the end, I really did enjoy it, and I think most viewers caught on to the fact that, like, yeah, even though I was complaining and tearing my hair out and throwing books a few times, I really did have a lot of fun with the whole thing, and I think the diary format and the emotional ups and downs made it special and made both Snowbound videos, because I had to do a sequel, entertaining. And then we have this next one, which And I've got to be honest right now, it's January 31st. I have read 14 books, passed on 2, and I'm not quite halfway through this list, and I feel a little burnt out. Nobody is snowbound in this book. Did people just pick this title out of a hat? I don't know. Hello, it is the last day of February, and I have officially entered Blitz mode. I am trying to go through as many books as I can, as fast as I can, while still actually reading them so that I can give an opinion on them. This is kind of like when I did that free 3-month trial of Kindle Unlimited, and there were days that went by when I didn't read anything, and then suddenly I had like 2 weeks left, and I was like, I have 2 series that I want to finish, and they were long series, and I just started like plowing through them, and then in the last 24 hours I was like, I can read 5 books, right? I don't want that to happen to me again, but here we are! I think it's gonna happen. Could I move my deadline forward? Absolutely. I could do whatever I want. But I don't want to do that. That's capitulating. That's weak. And while I may not be a super strong person physically, there are some commitments that I feel like, nope, gotta stick to that. I know myself, and if I do that, if I just adjust the rules, then I'll just fritter away my time doing something else, and I need the deadline to make sure I get this done. That's just how it operates. So I don't want to hear anybody being like, why did you do this to yourself? This is completely unnecessary. You don't need to be stressing out. No, I need the stress. Anyway, let's get on with this, because I'm wasting precious time talking to you. I could be reading right now. I've relished any opportunity I've had to expand on a favorite film or break down a favorite scene. I often can't resist the temptation to cram in as many images and video clips as I can so that the film can speak for itself, which just makes the review even more satisfying. It makes the editing take longer, but it's a labor of love. I have a special fondness for my reviews of Random Harvest, The Best Years of Our Lives, the 1985 Anne of Green Gables miniseries, and its sequel, Aliens, Signs, Marty, the 1995 Pride and Prejudice. I was really happy with how all of those turned out, and I'm especially excited when someone comments on them. But really, any review, solo or mini, where I loved the movie, or I discovered some interesting behind-the-scenes information, or I took the time to do a deep dive into characters, and relationships, or effects, or what have you, those are reviews that stand out to me the most. Also, my sort of spontaneous reviews of The Vast of Night, Colossus the Forbin Project, and Not of This Earth. Those are movies I wasn't planning to spotlight, but partway through I was like, oh my goodness, I love this, and I have so much I want to say about it. Cancel whatever I had scheduled, I've got to talk about this instead. Same thing happened with my first review of Star Trek the Motion Picture, which came a few years after I had reviewed Star Trek 2, 3, 4, and 6, and then I rewatched those, and I did mini reviews, and I actually had a totally different reaction to Star Trek 3 than I had had before, which made me feel like, could I just delete my past review? And then I was inspired to do a solo review of 5, and later on I did a re-review of the director's cut of the motion picture, and all of this led me to this conclusion. Having watched all 6 films within 6 weeks or so, I think this might be my favorite film series. I like every entry with no exceptions, and I mean no exceptions. Despite some minor discrepancies here and there, there's impressive continuity and cohesion throughout the whole thing. The music and visuals are almost always stunning, and it's just so awesome that the entire cast came back every time, and additional actors, with the exception of Kirstie Alley, came back to play their characters when needed. It is bittersweet to see the adventure come to an end in this one, but the characters get a fitting send-off, with one last ride into the sunset together before the cast signatures on screen deliver a perfect finishing touch. It's true, there's no other film series out there that I enjoy as much or as consistently, and I don't subscribe to the even numbers only mentality. I like all 6 without exception. Now, are they all created equal? No, but I like all 6, and I'm sticking to that. Over the course of a few years, I covered the classic Universal monster movies. I think my favorite of those videos is still the first one, the Creature from the Black Lagoon trilogy review, which, if I remember correctly, was my first foray into doing creature feature videos. That was April 2017. Obviously, I've now done dozens of classic sci-fi and monster movies. I learned that once that door has been opened, it's not easily closed, but I don't want to close it. I am perfectly happy to keep coming back. I enjoy the movies, the supply is practically endless, the reviews are fun to make, and the fans of the genre are some of the most loyal and enthusiastic people. Looking at the timeline, I think the first couple Universal Monster videos paved the way, indirectly, for the Godzilla review series, which I started September 2017. And where would the channel have ended up if I'd never done that? Watching and reviewing those movies brought a lot of changes for me and the channel. I became a Godzilla fan somewhere in the middle of it, my film watching horizons expanded, my audience grew, and I became more relaxed on camera as I discussed these sometimes bombastic movies. So, of course, I had to put together a reel of some of my reactions. His first appearance is pretty awesome. I like the way he turns around and gives everyone a dirty look, just daring them to mess with him. He seems really angry and malevolent this time. Is he a worthy opponent for Godzilla? Tough to say. A lot of their big confrontation is just them playing volleyball with a rock, so... I look at this thing and my first reaction is, ugh, yuck, what is that? Unfocused, soulless eyes. This image really makes me laugh.
I like it here. And I also want to see your daddy, Godzilla.
I'll introduce you, if we can find him.
That's just great. It had me from the opening titles with its swingin' intro music by Masaru Sato. He looks like a ratty old dog toy or a rabbit with mange. It's kind of unfortunate. He comes out and I think, oof, this is the thing that's gonna help Godzilla save the world? And then you hear the chorus. What? I don't know if they were aiming to lighten the mood by distracting you with a pretty song, or if the lyrics are meant to make you hope that someday Godzilla will come back as a good guy. But I do know that the song's stuck in my head after listening to it about a dozen times, and I guess I'm a fan of it now.
Must be blood. Must be fresh.
I see this thing, and I'm like, what on earth am I even looking at? What's going on here? What happened? Those pecs, though. There's something about it that's so peaceful and mesmerizing and, okay, even a little emotional. I watched it a second time when I was getting ready to do this review, and yeah, I was moved. Kneecaps, abs, wow, the attention to detail on this giant robot is interesting. And if that's not weird enough, then Godzilla just kinda dives right in there. The movie teases us with hints of Godzilla for 38 minutes before he finally makes his first full appearance, which frankly isn't one of my favorite of his grand entrances. It seems a little goofy.
Oh yeah!
Who da-da-da-da is played by Hiroshi Koizumi, one of my favorites. What? And after that, track 9, Rodan, my favorite! I can't even articulate everything I love about this. Everything that's going on with the music, the percussion, the brass, the strings, it's just... It hit me in the feels. I don't know if people are still saying that, but there were a couple points here where I felt emotional, and I heard a few other people in the theater sniffling, and I was like, it's not just me. At a certain point in the movie, we were the ones who were like... I know my face split into a huge grin, and I was with my dad, and I turned and looked at him, and I was like... and he started laughing at me. But before there was Godzilla, there was Jane Eyre. Hi, I'm a Jane Eyre fan. I wonder if I fit the criteria to call myself an airhead. And for the past few years, I've been on a quest to watch every Jane Eyre adaptation in existence. For the bulk of 2015, that's what my channel was all about, reviewing different versions of Jane Eyre. But even at the time, I was dissatisfied with those videos. I knew that they weren't very good, the editing was sloppy, the delivery lacked focus, and for most of the major versions, I didn't use any visual aids. And then, in 2018, while in the midst of the Godzilla series, I got the idea to revisit Jane Eyre a different way, assessing how various adaptations depicted certain scenes from the novel. It was something I had long wished that somebody on YouTube would do. I had looked for videos like that and been disappointed that I couldn't find them. And then I realized that I could just do it myself. And thus, the Jane Eyre adaptation comparison series was born. And amid the sea of 600 plus videos, that series is still one of the most satisfying and rewarding things I've done. Not that it's perfect, and if I could go back, there are a couple things I would do differently. I wouldn't start with the horse scene. It's always bothered me that I began out of chronological order, but I got to spend hours talking in depth about something I loved, and other people who loved it stumbled across my tiny channel and stayed and began looking forward to the next episode and chatting with me and chatting with each other in the comments, and it was amazing. I think my favorite episodes to work on were the proposal, after the wedding, and the end. And if you're familiar with the story, you know those are some of the heftiest, meatiest scenes, and I was intimidated by them, but it was so good to just dig in, book in one hand, adaptations in the other, doing dramatic readings sometimes, sharing my thoughts and feelings about characters and their actions and relationships, and even divulging things about myself. So it is very special when someone says, "Hey, I'm going through your adaptation comparison series right now and I really like it," or "I just finished re-watching your Jane Eyre adaptation comparisons." It means so much. But I'm tremendously grateful for all of the positive comments that I've gotten on my videos in the past 10 years, and I want to end on that note. I want to thank all of you for watching the videos, for liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, telling your friends and family, watching with your friends and family. I am still here because of all of you. It's been a great 10 years, and I intend to stay and keep doing what I've been doing, the way I've been doing it for as long as I can, and I hope you'll stay with me. Thanks for 10 awesome years, everyone.